December 28, 2014, from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, was the San Diego Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs in this AFC West division rivalry matchup on the final week of the season. The Chargers would get the ball first, and they would start off with it on their own 20 after the opening kickoff, but after 4 plays, they would end up punting from their own 38. So now the Chiefs would take over on their own 21 after the punt with about 13 minutes still left in the first. They're then faced with a 2nd and 7 from the 24. Daniels hit Avant for a 7-yard pass that would make it a first down on the 31. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 34, Daniel ran for 7 yards and a first down at the 41. On 2nd and 5 from the 46, D'Anthony Thomas ran at 18 yards for the first down in San Diego territory at the 36-yard line. Daniel then went to Bowe. He picked up 12 yards and a first down at the 24. They were then faced with a 3rd and 14 from the 28. Daniel hit the tight end Travis Kelce for an 18-yard reception that would make it 4th and 6. They then brought up the field goal unit, but a false start would move them back. So now it would be a 43-yard field goal attempt for Cairo Santos instead of a 38-yarder. But it was up and it was good, and the Chiefs put the first points on the scoreboard with the score now Kansas City 3, San Diego 0. So now the Chargers would take over on their own 20 after the kickoff with about 6.5 minutes left in the first, but after 5 plays, they would end up punting from the 50. So now the Chiefs would take over on their own 6-yard line after the punt with about 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter. They're then faced with a 2nd and 1 from the 15. Daniel hit Kelce. He picked up 20 yards in the first down at the 35. Daniel then went back to Kelce. He picked up 14 yards and a first down at midfield on the Kansas City 49. He then scrambled for 9 yards, and on 2nd and 1 from the 42, Jamaal Charles picked up the first down with a 2-yard run to the San Diego 40 that brought the first quarter to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Kansas City 3, San Diego 0. So now to open up the second quarter, the Chiefs had the ball on the San Diego 40-yard line. It was a first down, and Niall Davis ran 11 yards for another first down, now on the San Diego 29. They're then faced with a 2nd and 1 from the 20 and an incomplete pass, but a pass interference call against the Chargers would make it a first down in the red zone for the Chiefs at the San Diego 14. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 11, Charlie Daniel dropped back to pass out of the shotgun. He hit Dwayne Bowe for an 11-yard touchdown pass. It was actually, they ended up challenging it, but it remained a touchdown, and so it would be Kansas City 10, San Diego 0. So now after the kickoff, the Chargers would get the ball on their own 31 with less than 13 minutes left before halftime. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 31, Phillip Rivers hit Eddie Royal for a 13-yard reception that brought it to the 44 for the first down. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 47, Branden Oliver ran it 2 yards for the first down to the 45. And that's when Phillip Rivers dropped back. He had Eddie Royal for a 44-yard reception that would make it 1st and goal on the 1. They gave it to Oliver, and he punched it in from a yard out as the Chargers put their first points on the scoreboard, with the score now Kansas City 10, San Diego 7. So now after the kickoff, the Chiefs would start their next possession on their own 25 with less than 11 minutes left in the second quarter. They would end up going 3 and out and punting from their own 23 as they actually lost yards on the possession. And so now after the punt, the Chargers would have the ball on their own 12-yard line with less than 10 minutes left before halftime. And after 5 plays, they would end up punting from the 12. They actually did pick up a first down, but then Rivers was sacked by Houston on a 2nd down that would then force them to punt 2 plays later. So now after the punt, the Chiefs would take over on the San Diego 8-yard line as they got a 41-yard return by D'Anthony Thomas on the punt. So right now there was 1st and goal to start the possession with about 6 minutes left before halftime, but they weren't able to get into the end zone. So on 2nd and goal from the 5, Daniel was sacked by Freeney, and that would push them back to the 11. They did pick up 8 yards with a pass to Bowe on 3rd down, but on 4th down out would come Cairo Santos to attempt a 21-yard chip shot. It was up, it was good, and it was now a 6-point lead for the Chiefs with the score Kansas City 13, San Diego 7. So now the Chargers would take over on their own 23 with less than 4 minutes left before halftime, and they would end up punting 4 plays later from the 29. So now the Kansas City Chiefs would take over after the punt with less than 2 minutes left before halftime and the ball on their own 50. And on 2nd and 6 from the 46, Daniel went to Travis Kelce. He picked up 10 yards in the first down at the San Diego 36. Daniel then went back to Kelce. He picked up another 24 yards. And now it was a first down in the red zone for the Chiefs on the San Diego 12. They wouldn't pick up another first down, and out would come Cairo Santos to attempt a 27-yard field goal. It was up. It was good. And it was now a 9-point lead for the Chiefs with the score Kansas City 16, San Diego 7. So now after the kickoff, the Chargers would take over on their own 17-yard line with about a half a minute left in the second quarter. And on first down, Branden Oliver picked up 18 yards and a first down at the San Diego 35. Then Phillip Rivers dropped back in the shotgun. He was intercepted by Coleman. So Coleman with the interception, and then the Chiefs took a knee, and this game went to halftime. So after 2 quarters, the score was Kansas City 16, San Diego 7. So now to begin the third quarter, the Chiefs would get the ball first. They had it on their own 25 after the kickoff, and after 4 plays, they would end up punting from their own 40. So now San Diego would take over after the punt on their own 2-yard line with about 13 minutes left in the third. And on 2nd and 3 from the 9, Phillip Rivers hit Eddie Royal for an 18-yard reception, a first down to 17. And on first down out of the no huddle in the shotgun, Phillip Rivers was sacked by Justin Houston for a 3-yard loss. Houston forced the fumble. Mays recovered. And so now the Chiefs would have the ball in the red zone after the fumble recovery with a first down on the San Diego 17. Then on 3rd and 3 from the 10, Jamaal Charles ran it 5 yards for the first down to make it 1st and goal from the 5. But on 2nd and goal from the 10, Daniels was sacked for a 3-yard loss by Laggett. And so now they would end up having to bring out Cairo Santos a couple plays later to attempt a 31-yard field goal. It was up. It was good. And the score was now Kansas City 19, San Diego 7. So now the Chargers would get the ball on their own 29 after the kickoff with 8.5 minutes left in the third. They went 3 and out and punted from the 27. So now the Chiefs got the ball after the punt on their own 18-yard line with about 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And on 3rd and 7 from the 21, Daniel was sacked for an 8-yard loss by Ingram. So out came the punting unit as the Chiefs went 3 and out. And they punted it to San Diego, who now took over on their own 39 with 4.5 left in the third. And they would end up bringing the ball to midfield and into Kansas City territory. But their drive would end up stalling on the Kansas City 34, and they would bring Nick Novak out to attempt a 52-yard field goal. It was up, and it was no good. So the score remained Kansas City 19, San Diego 7. So now the Chiefs would take over after the missed field goal with the ball on their own 42. They gave it to Jamaal Charles. He picked up 2 yards and brought the third quarter to a close. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was Kansas City 19, San Diego 7. And to open up the fourth quarter, the Chiefs had the ball on their own 44 with 2nd and 8. Daniel then hit Jamaal Charles for a 5-yard reception to make it 3rd and 3 from the 49. Then Daniel went to D'Anthony Thomas. He picked up 30 yards in the first down at the San Diego 21, but their drive would end up stalling as they got a penalty on 3rd and 11 for an illegal use of hands. They weren't able to get a first down, and so on 4th and 21 from the 32, out came Cairo Santos to attempt a 50-yard field goal. It was up, and it was no good. So the score remained Kansas City 19, San Diego 7 after the missed field goal. And now the Chargers would take over on their own 40 with about 12 minutes left to play in regulation. And they ended up moving the ball into Kansas City territory, into the red zone, all the way down to the 3-yard line. They were faced with a 4th and goal from the 3. They elected to go for it, and a second straight incomplete pass would now turn the ball over on downs, as they were right there on the edge of scoring, but couldn't punch it in for the score, and they didn't settle for the field goal. They ended up getting nothing. And so now the Chiefs had the ball on their own 3-yard line after the turnover on downs. There was 8.5 minutes still left in the fourth. Kansas City would go 3 and out and end up punting from their own 10. So now San Diego would have the ball trailing by 2 scores with just under 7 minutes left in the fourth. They had it on their own 48 after the punt. They would end up getting it all the way to the edge of the red zone, and they were faced with a 4th and 1 from the Kansas City 20. They elected to go for it again on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal. They gave it to Donald Brown, and he got stopped for no gain on the second consecutive play. and so they turned the ball over on downs, and now the Chiefs would take over with 3.5 left to play, up by 12. They had on their own 21. They would go 3 and out, and they ended up punting from the 19 as they actually lost yards on the possession, but they were just trying to eat up some clock. They didn't eat up much, though, and now the Chargers would have the ball on their own 39 with 2.5 left to play, down by 12. And on first down, Phillip Rivers went to Floyd. He picked up 17 yards and the first down at the 44. And then an intentional grounding penalty, though, would move them back to their own 46 and bring the game to the 2-minute warning. Then coming out of the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 20 from the 46, Phillip Rivers hit him on for a 16-yard reception, made it 3rd and 4 from the 38. Rivers then went back to Inman. He picked up 9 yards in the first down to 29. They were then faced with a 4th and 19 from the 38. They elected to go for it, and Phillip Rivers went to Inman. He picked up 28 yards in the first down at the 10-yard line. But then Phillip Rivers dropped back and was intercepted by Smith. But there was an offsides against the defense, so that there would be no interception. And then there was a false start penalty, though, against San Diego. And on the final play of the game, Phillip Rivers was intercepted, this time by Coleman, and the game came to a close with the final score, Kansas City 19, San Diego 7. So the Chargers needed to win to get into the playoffs, but they're now done. Their season is over as the Chiefs spoil the playoffs for the Chargers, their division rivals in the AFC West. And with the win, the Kansas City Chiefs are 9-7 on the season, 6-2 at home. The Chargers are also 9-7, 4-4 on the road. And for the Chiefs in this game, Chase Daniel was 16 for 27. He had 157 passing yards. He also had 16 yards on the ground off of 3 carries. Phillip Rivers was 20 for 34 with 291 passing yards and 2 interceptions. He also had 2 yards off of 1 carry. The leading rusher in this game was Branden Oliver. He had 14 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. He also had 4 yards receiving off of 2 receptions. Jamaal Charles had 13 carries for 54 yards and 8 yards receiving off of 2 receptions. Not really a big day for Charles, but they won the game. The leading receiver was actually Eddie Royal for the Chargers. He had 4 receptions for 95 yards. The leading receiver for Kansas City was their tight end Travis Kelce. He had 7 receptions for 84 yards. And the leading tackler in this game was for the Chargers. Manti Te'o had 13 tackles in this game. The leading tackler for Kansas City was Josh Malga. He had 8 tackles. And in this game, San Diego had 4 sacks. Liggett, Gackler, and Freeney and Ingram each had 1 sack. And the Kansas City Chiefs had 7 sacks in this game. Justin Houston actually breaks the sack record. He had 4 sacks in this game. And those 4 sacks actually put him... Actually, I think he's just fell shy. I think that put him at 22 to check the final numbers. But he had 4 sacks in the game. A monster season for Justin Houston. And Bailey had a sack. Dontari Poe had a sack. And then Ford and Mauga had a half sack each as they combined for a sack. And the only interceptions in this game were for Coleman. He had 2 interceptions for the Chiefs off of Phillip Rivers. And Kansas City wins a defensive battle. There's a lot of defensive, low-scoring games in Week 17. And the final score here, Kansas City 19, San Diego 7.